Is being alone getting you down? Well, you're just in luck.
You can join us every minute we are on the air discussing manifestation and specifically how to manifest your dream man.
On Manifesting Men and Other Stories with
TreMora.
Hey girl, good morning.
Good morning.
Have you been using any I am affirmations when you wake up? Mine is really, really simple. I didn't really have time. I woke up really late. I am ready.
I am fully grateful today, I guess. It's raining outside. It's pretty nice.
Oh, I love when it's raining outside. It's earlier than I normally wake up. I didn't even plug my phone in. I thought I did. So it was dead when I woke up. It was plugged into the charger, but not into the wall. So I jumped out of bed at 8:55 and ran for my life to make coffee and do a couple things before jumping on the computer.
Except you were early to the podcast, and I was like 30 minutes late.
Right, because you're just living your life. Clearly, I care more about people's time. I don't know, just saying.
I know. It was like, I was just like, oh man, I gotta go make coffee and I gotta go take a shower and do all the things. And I just took my time doing each one of them. That by the time I came and sat down, it was like 9:30. I was like, whoa, we were supposed to do this when? So I apologize. I did not mean, to make you wait on me. It was like, and then I was still not done with my pizza, which I am eating pizza.
Pizza's good. Pizza's a good breakfast. I agree.
Right? I mean, you get the tomatoes, you got cheese, bread. Doesn't it hit like all of the necessities for the morning?
All the food groups, yeah.
Exactly. TreMora, back at it again.
How many years later? I think it's like 3 years later, 4 years later. Wow.
Because we started our channel in 2016, and yeah, somehow for whatever reason we just stopped doing it, and now here we are 4 years later doing a podcast. And I don't know, it's so great to be TreMora again. I don't know, I'm a huge fan of us. So
So this is Manifesting Men with TreMora.
yes, that sounds so good. So
We're not gonna manifest any men today, though.
Right. But what we're talking about today is friendships, making and losing them as an adult.
When you lose friends as an adult, it's like a lot. It can hit you a lot harder, I feel like. But maybe that's just because it's more recent that it feels harder. I feel like the idea of like letting go of a friendship, to me at least, you just kind of grow apart as kids. And like, yes, you're like embarrassed or, hurt or whatever it is, depending how the friendship ended. But it doesn't feel like you don't keep going back to the idea of like, should I make that, like, should I go back? Should I fix this? Should I, you know what I mean? Like as an adult, it's like, well, am I allowed to do that? Like, is it okay? Like I don't know, it's different.
I fully agree. I think that like in all the times that I've lost friends, I don't ever remember me like going back and asking for another chance or something the way that I used to when I was in school. Because in school, I don't know, you're kind of stuck to with each other. You're going to class together, you're walking down the halls, you have the same hangout spots, you hang out with the same people, and you always see them. But as an adult, it's like, well, I don't really have to run into you. We don't work together. And like you live, like you live so far away from my actual house that I would never see you uh, if we were not friends or friends. It's like, I guess it kind of like, to me, it sort of depends on the connection I have with someone. Like, me and you, we've gotten into fights, but here we are, like literally like 6 years of friendship. I think, I don't know, we celebrate our friend's anniversary in December. So, hey. Yes, I know. Yes, I remember.
I'm glad you're keeping track of that.
I am, for sure.
What's interesting when I look back at my friendships as a child, I feel like I actually, which just probably shows how little I put into caring about relationships. I don't know. But I had like a friend up like all through like from 2 years old until, that's probably an exaggeration, but like very, very young. we started falling apart when we switched, like, we kinda got separated from the rest of the school, like, but we weren't in middle school yet when we were,
Yeah.
like, in 5th, 6th grade, and at that point, I became best friends with someone in my class because she
Yeah.
was in the other class. Natural, right? But then
Absolutely.
that friendship only lasted a couple years, and we fell out when we went to middle school because when you go to middle school, it's a new school and,
Mhm.
and I went back to that best friend that I always had my whole life, but I eventually fell out with her as well. Again, because middle school, it's a bigger pool. There's a lot more going on. You make new connections and whatnot. And then I feel like I kind of that reoccurred over and over again in my life where when I would transition, I would uh what's the word? Like I would just like people would fall off.
Yeah.
So kind of like what you're saying as an adult, I did see that as a child
Yeah.
a lot because um every time we switched schools, I seemed to, it's not that I ended friendships completely all the time, but like I would get new best friends.
Yeah, for sure. Like a cycle. It's kind of like cycle. Like as a kid, when I was in elementary school, I had the same thing. Like I had three solid, like best friends. Like we hung out outside of school. We had sleepovers. We like were constantly together, and we fell out the moment that I went to middle school because my school was different from theirs, and I went
Mm.
across town to a different middle school.
What have you found is the reason, like as an adult, you might not be continuing a friendship? Because I think it's really interesting. Like I've told myself, I give this advice all the time. I talk about how it's okay to lose a friend because,
Hmm.
you have friends for a season, you have friends for, life. They're different. And sometimes you don't recognize them until, the ending is near.
Right.
And so you just need to let what, isn't like working out or like what's bringing negativity to your life go
Exactly.
um, because, it you know, it's just that's just life. But when
Yes.
it's actually there, it's so hard to, like, accept that.
That you're not on the same path. As an adult, that's what we're really focused on. Like in school, you don't really have a destination. You're just going through the motions. Next year is going to be a new year because you're learning new things. But as an adult, you sort of got free for all. You can go anywhere you want. And when I realized that like a friendship isn't really working out, it's always when they had a goal at the beginning and then they switched it and they sort of are going a completely different route to where it's like they have different beliefs, they have different ways of living, they have different like mentalities and everything. And I realized that our mentalities don't like they clash. The things that I believe, the things that I stand for, they clash. And it's sometimes so subtle as like to where it's a small disagreement with something and you're like, wait, when did you think that sort of thing? Like, when did that change? And you sort of start to realize that they're growing into a different person and you needed each other, or like in my experience, we needed each other when we needed each other, and then we didn't need each other anymore, and it was so prevalent by the end because essentially we stood for different things.
Right,
You just have to really really accept that your friendship has served its purpose, and it's difficult because yeah, and lord knows I like it's difficult like because you hold on to the ideal, like you remember what it was like, and you remember that you guys used to talk all the time, or we used to like hang out all the time, or I used to be able to talk to you about these things and now I can't. Now all of a sudden you're shutting down or shutting me out or whatever, and it's just honestly just those are the first signs of a friendship that isn't working anymore. And the sooner you realize that and let go of the idea that the friendship is meant to be, because that's such a like that's such a tough phrase, to get over. It's like if you have the idea that it's meant to be, then you won't let it go
right,
because it feels that way in the moment. But 10 years from now, it might not be that way. And that is totally okay because it wasn't meant to be. It was
right.
meant to be at the time. And
Exactly.
that's what I sort of find. And so like weeding it out, which is a harsh word, but it just sort of like weeding it out and sort of realizing these things is also knowing yourself and knowing what you can handle with the person. And sort of like I believe that it's like sitting with your thoughts and sitting with the signs and the things that you're feeling and paying attention to the way you're feeling or way that person's making you feel. And if you start to feel negative or almost inadequate for whatever reason, even if it isn't something that they're doing directly, it's just that feeling that it brews inside. And if it's always when you're with them and then it gets better when you're not, then that's a huge, you know what I mean, shift. Like you know that's your energy, that's your subconscious telling you something's wrong.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You have to listen to yourself. And if being around them is bringing you down, it doesn't mean they're a bad person on any level. It just means that whatever their focus is isn't your focus anymore. Or maybe it never was. Maybe, like you said, they're the ones that changed. But either way, that's okay. And it's just hard to come to terms with that. I've had that happen a couple times in my adulthood, and even still, I grapple with the fact of, like, some friendships I feel like there's always, like, the last one is the
Right.
hardest one to get
Right.
over, like, once, you know, another thing happens in your life, a big moment or something that causes you some sort of anxiety, it's so hard to let it go before another thing happens, like, there's always
Exactly.
this one pain that you can't let go of, but if you really think about, what your focus is, what you spend your time on, and how you're living your life, and then you think about, like you said, that person that you don't seem to be like getting along with at the moment, or not even that you're not getting along, but like you said, it brings on bad energy. If you really
Mhm.
think about what they're doing, how they live their life, is it equal? Like,
Right.
is there any connecting point? And that's something, like, with someone that I recently fell out with in a very unspoken way. So I've had both. I've only had, like, a couple, like, friendship breakups as an adult. And one was very much, like, almost childish in that it was like, "We are not friends anymore. Stop communicating." But the
Yeah.
other one was more so of we just fell out, where a lot of my friends, because I have so many close friends from throughout my life, because like I said before, I kind of segment my life off where I become
Mhm.
best friends with a new person, but I don't always lose contact. As a kid, I did, of course, like you did, lose
Yeah.
contact with some people. But for the most part, I still am very close to my best friend from high school, from college, and from jobs and whatnot, all throughout my life. But what is it called? As time goes on, you don't talk as much because you have different things in common and whatnot. Or not different things in common, sorry, correction. You have different focuses, but you also, at the same time, if they call you, like, you pick off where you left off. You're like, "How's your job? How's your kids? How's your family?" Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I have a lot of those. But then there comes to the point where, like, you don't talk at all anymore, and like you said, you don't want to.
Right.
And so then you just that kind of stop talking, or maybe something happened. In my case, I definitely feel like there was a specific moment in time, like a few things led up to it, but then a specific moment in time where it was like, okay, so like we really don't have anything anymore.
Right.
And then I think back to what made us friends and, why our connection was so deep. And I realized, that really wasn't a forever friendship. We both needed each other so deeply at one point in time, and we are no longer those people.
Right.
Or maybe one of us is and one of us isn't. And so that's what I'm grappling with. Like, it's happened. Like, we're definitely not friends anymore. If she, called me, it's not like I wouldn't pick up, but like, if I broke up with my boyfriend, am I going to tell her? No.
That's true.
And I think if you're going through a really hard time in your life and you have no interest in telling them, that's a really good indicator if, like, there's still something there.
Each person, I believe that each party sort of has somewhere where either there was lack of communication or, just a little bit less attentive, like attention to the relationship. I feel like a relationship falls out not just because of one person, but because of a little bit of both, or
Yeah,
more one person than the other. Like it could be that way, but I feel like naturally it's just sort of like, well,
of course.
like that conversation of like, you didn't call me, and then it's like, well, you didn't either, type of thing, to where it's like that of like, why did you expect it from me? Why didn't you just reach out? And it's funny because the other day, my mother told me, she said, you should really tell people how much you care about them instead of telling other people how much you care about them. Tell the actual person themselves. Because I'm very much like, I'll talk about all my friends and I'll be like, I love this person. This is what they're doing. And I'm like that huge fan of my friends, but I'll never tell. Like, and it's not that I
Right.
didn't, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that naturally that doesn't come up. And I don't
Mhm.
know if that's something because I don't want to seem weird or like seem like a fangirl. It's kind of like when you meet a celebrity, do you really want to be like, oh my God, I love you so much? Like I have a poster of you on my wall. Or do you want to just play it cool and shit?
Yeah. Even, like, on a relationship scale of, like, when you're dating someone, like, how long do you wait before you're like, "No, I really have true feelings for you. I think you're awesome," like, or "I
Exactly.
love you." Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So I have a confession to make. So before we declared each other as best friends just before I moved, I felt like I was tiptoeing around the I love you, Teresa type of thing, like you're my best friend. And it was
Yeah.
so much for me, like it was so much like when you're trying not to tell your boyfriend you love him, like because
Right.
you don't want to scare him off. That's how I felt
Yeah.
about you. And then you told me, and I was like, oh my God.
That's
She said the
hilarious.
words first, yay. And I was like, you're my person. It felt like it was
Clearly, we're
seriously.
obsessed with Grey's Anatomy.
I right.
Slightly,
Slightly. I
distantly,
didn't
from the
finish.
past.
Yeah, I didn't watch all of Grey's Anatomy now. Like I think I watched up to like season 7.
After you that we're getting off topic now, but really quickly. After you recommended me, like, 6 different movies yesterday to watch, or, like, movies and shows, because I literally asked you for a recommendation.
Right.
I literally went and watched season 16 of Grey's
I
Anatomy, 5
hate you.
episodes. That was
I
definitely
li-
not one of the
I know.
recommendations.
I went through my Netflix and my Amazon. How could
She
you do this to
literally
me?
turned on Netflix to look for options.
I can't believe it. I was so excited to hear about a new show that you started that was my recommendation. You didn't even watch Love by Gaspar Noé. I'm so disappointed.
Okay, how am I gonna watch that, though, while I do wallpaper? The reason I went back to Grey's Anatomy was, there was a whole new season, hello. But also
Yo.
also, when you're at season 16 of a show, you don't have to, like, have your eyes glued to the screen, like, you
Right.
know everything that could quite possibly be happening while the characters are talking.
Right.
So I actually got all my wallpaper, like, cut up and ready to paste.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to see it. Is it
Yeah.
the cranes? What are they? The cranes?
They're cheetahs. I
Cheetahs.
swear.
Cheetahs, right.
Do you listen at all? This is a sign of a bad friend, people.
It isn't. No, I swear.
But
There
sorry,
are
I got us
cranes
distracted.
somewhere. Or are
There's no
there
cranes in my
no
wallpaper.
cranes everywhere? No birds? What about the other wallpaper?
No. It's
Oh,
like I'm, like, so offended.
I don't.
It's like an antique rug print, the other
Oh,
one.
oh, wow, that's weird. Oh, okay, wow. Where did I get
Like,
birds from? I think it's a Pinterest thing I saved. There's like artwork or like someone painted birds on a wall. They're
oh,
cranes,
maybe.
tall,
'Cause
like Florida cranes, but
yeah,
not
why would I
gray,
put
like
that on my
white.
wall?
I don't
No.
know
No.
because they're so
I've
cute.
I've cheetahs on their hind legs standing,
Oh, maybe
arch
that's why the
arching
cheetahs look
towards
like.
each other in love.
Oh, how sweet.
Oh, wait, I lied. They're arching away from each other in fear. So let's get back on topic. I have a
Right.
question for you. Do you think that when a friendship, like, kind of how we said it, like, fizzes out, if
Yeah.
that's harder to deal with and, like, more emotionally draining, or if it just outright, like what I said before, where I literally had to tell someone we are no longer friends
Right.
after a series of what I just felt like was someone trying to dictate and manipulate my life. Because
Mhm.
the way we kind of fell out in that case, just so you can have some of the juicy details,
Tell me
was
about him, baby.
was that we so this was post college. I won't say what college,
Okay.
but
Right, because you went
I
to
said
multiple and I went to
many.
one. Like 10
So
colleges.
we'll keep it a little up in the air. Uh, but after that, we both kind of started to seek our careers. We went to different places in the country because I have never stayed in the same city as my college, like immediately after school. I've always kind of like, honestly, I've always went home. But so I went home. She kind of stayed um, where we went to school, and we were looking for jobs, and I was kind of on the side of looking for a job, pursuing, like, as I always do, how can I do this myself? How can I do my own collection? How can I have my own design company? How can I make money for myself, because I don't want to work for anybody because I'm clearly antisocial. So as I'm doing all that, she is, going a more traditional route, and also very frustrated with me because she feels like, um, you know, probably rightly so. I always have so many ideas, but do I always follow through? So I could see where the frustration would occur, but her choice of dealing with my confusion over, what exactly I want, since I've literally been having the same battle with myself for probably like 6 years now, or more,
More years because
is
we've been friends for 6 years.
true. True. Is that she would send me YouTube videos that literally were titled "How to Stop Being a Failure."
Are you serious?
And was I really a failure? I'm pretty sure I got a job immediately after college. Yes, it wasn't like, right away, like a lead designer job or even in the realm of a designer.
Mhm.
But I eventually got there. And also, I was working.
Right.
I was supporting myself. I was still in some way pursuing, what I wanted to do. Yes, I was going in and out of depression and whatnot, but like, you don't send people how to not be a failure videos.
Right.
I would say that's the number one way to lose a friend. So
And
then it come to a point where I was like, many other things happened to make it like really bad. Like I went to even visit her at one point, and then she was like, okay, well, I can see you on Tuesday. And I'm like, but I'm leaving on Tuesday. And she's like, well, that's my only free day. Like
oh my
things like that, where
gosh,
she thought
yeah.
she was like above me in so many ways.
Right.
And so it was just like, okay, well, I can't just stay till Tuesday. Like that's not
Yeah,
how
exactly.
money and life and flights work. I mean, now my life is very free, but back then,
Now that's how it all works.
now I can do whatever I want.
Right.
But but back then, so we had a rough falling out where eventually, like, she kept trying to, act like she knew what was best for me.
Okay.
And I eventually just said, please stop contacting me. I don't want your opinion. We are no longer friends. And I feel like that was freeing for me because she was putting so much negative energy into my life for such a period of time. And also, previously leading up to this, she's the type of person that like most people don't get along with. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
yeah. There's always that
like
one.
so you feel like, I'm putting up with so much, and then you're treating me so poorly. Like, no, like I'm done with this. And so when I let it go, I felt so free in my life.
Right. Yeah.
So that compared to like where someone who never did wrong to me and was always there for me, and there was like no ill will at all, but we fell out because, they're at this place in their life and I'm at this place, and like there's really just we're just not going to connect on any level anymore. And I feel like there was like a lot of micro situations that
Right.
happen that ate away at us, like, probably on both sides, where we both feel hurt, we both feel offended, but, like, we're both such, like, kind people that we're not gonna be like, "You did this."
Yeah,
Like,
right.
we just kind of let it go because we know that there's nothing left here. We live so far apart, and we we're just doing such different things. So what's the point? So that type of loss eats away at me like as if I have murdered someone. Whereas like the other loss was like, get out of my life. I don't care. Like I'm done.
That's so interesting. See, okay, so when a friendship fizzles out, I'm fine. Like fizzle away. I don't care. There are men who I've been with, and somehow it's fizzling out, and it's like I panic.
Same.
But I feel like with men, it's different. I feel like when it comes to men, you're like either get out of my life right now, to where it's like you guys can have that conversation. I'll have that, but it's like when it fizzles, like to me, it's like whoa, where did we go wrong? And sort of like you start questioning all this. But with friends, for me, opposite. Like if it starts to fizzle, it's easy because it's like you feel it too, and we don't have to talk about this. And then when I actually have to talk to you and put you in your place, where it's like, yo, you are overstepping a boundary. Like this is too much, and I can't handle this. If it hurts a lot more because I have to be the one to tell you that. Like I have to tell you straight up, and I have to say the words. Otherwise, you won't
Mhm.
get the point, and I'll be
Yeah,
stringing
for
you
sure.
along.
That's so interesting. So I feel like it's personality based. What hurts me is when I feel like it's not in the open. But then
Okay.
like when it's in the open and I'm like, yeah, we're not friends. But then again, like I feel like maybe it's never happened to me where I've had to be like told like we are not friends. We are never going to be friends. I feel like this sounds horrible, but I feel like
Right.
I'm
Sounds
the one
so
that
sad.
said that.
That's so sad.
But then I guess with guys have told me that. And kind of like you with guys, like it's not as big of a deal. Like honestly, if you think about like your past relationships and like how they ended and stuff, I mean, some people say like all their past relationships ended amicably and
Mm,
amicably. I can't talk.
yeah.
Um, a lot of people say like all the relationships end in that way, and I'm like, I am not that person.
I'm
Like
not that person.
I am but you know what? It's because, like, I'm fine with that because, like,
Yeah.
I love and care about people so deeply. It doesn't matter if they're my friend or if they're my relationship, like, especially if they're my relationship, like, I give a billion percent, and that person knows it. So, like, I don't feel embarrassed in the end. Yes, I,
Gotcha.
like, freaked out. Like, hung on, I tried to fix it, I did a million things that people would be like, "Wow, she's a psycho,
Hashtag psycho
she"
ex-girlfriend.
literally me. But that's fine, and, like, honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like,
Right.
I mean, I don't go and, like, key people's cars or
Yeah,
anything.
not
Like, it
that.
I don't, like, actually, like, cause harm to anyone or any object
You just
unless it's my
obsess.
own.
It's like it's
Yeah,
the
I'm just, like,
obsession of
try
like,
really hard in an embarrassing way, but 2 minutes later, I'm fine. At the end of the day, you know what? Like, with most relationships, it's, like, it's so embarrassing, like, when it's happening, but then, like, a month later, they're like, "Hey,
what
why
happened?
why why are you not obsessing over me? Why are you why are you gone? What do I do?"
I think it's the attention that they're so drawn to of
I
like,
think some guys love it.
yeah, sometimes like, there are definitely guys that I've been with where I obsessed for 2 seconds, I stopped obsessing, and then they're like, "Wow, so you got a new boyfriend already." It's like,
Right.
"What? What do you mean?
No.
Like, we broke up forever ago, get out of here." So it's like, and then
Exactly.
they obsess, and it's almost like you're passing off energy to each other, like,
Yeah. That's called unhealthy.
right,
Yeah.
which, honestly, that brings me into the point I wanted to ask you is like, do you ever do anything to really cut these relationships off? Because for me, I do cord cutting.
Are you talking about friendships or
Everything,
got
people in general.
so I wanted to ask you about this. So I have never done this and I feel like I have am in a really positive place and I have so many amazing friendships and I'm pursuing my like goals really actively. I have a job I love. I have so many amazing opportunities happening. And I do still have this lingering, like, upset in my stomach feeling over, this friendship that just kind of fell apart
Mhm.
because we've just honestly grown apart. So what do you do? What is cord cutting? And like what do you do to kind of just let that friendship lie?
Well, cord cutting is a meditation, sort of like a ritual where, for me, I'm able to sort of just do it because I know the routine because I've cord cut so many people. But the essential cord is that relationship that is tying you together, and it's to me, I believe it's healthy to cord cut because you're letting go of all of the energy, and it could be good energy, bad energy, but that's too much energy. You don't need all that energy all the time, and new chords will be formed no matter what you do. They will be formed. So I imagine um, that lineup, and with the lineup I'll just see a bunch of chords, and so I mentally take scissors and I cut them and I release them into the sky, kind of, whatever. Like, I release them up, not down. I don't leave them there. They float up to be recycled into new energy, and that is the meditation. For me, I do that for about like 30 minutes, or however long it really takes. I don't really give it a time because I it just however long. And the way that you really are supposed to cord cut is you imagine everything. You imagine all of the things that you are thinking about of that person, good, bad. You might cry, you might feel happy, you might laugh because you are literally living in those moments. You're remembering everything. And when you remember everything, you put all the energy toward the cord. You're putting it in the cord. And so when you cut it, all those memories are gone. Not literally, but you'll stop keeping yourself awake and wondering what happened and living in those moments, because those moments aren't serving you. They are memories. They are memories. That's all they are.
Can I pause for 1 second what you're
Yeah.
saying? I'm trying to picture the cord. Is it an is it an umbilical cord?
Oh my God. If that's the way you picture it, it's your umbilical cord, okay? Cut it from your
Ew.
belly button.
Ew.
No, bitch, it is not an umbilical cord. It's to me, it's more like one of those really thick cords that connect like really giant pieces of equipment, like to where you see them lying across the street in like New York. That's
Oh.
what I imagine. Those, because it's a lot of power and a lot of energy, and it's their memories as well. And so, for me, one of the biggest things is is the reason why it's men is because when you're with your partner, and this isn't specifically men, but just with your partner, your romantic person, it's so much energy that you put into the relationship, into knowing them as a friend and then knowing them romantically. It's such a big scale. And so when you're holding on to that, it's weighing you down. Even if you don't notice it, it's weighing you down. And so I do a routine cord cutting to where if I thought about a person, I can go into a meditation and still have a cord. And we don't even have to talk. Like we don't have to talk for an entire year. And if they pop into my mind, that's a cord that's been formed. And by
Mhm.
cutting it, it is likely, which happens to me every time, that I do a cord cutting session and somehow I get a message the next day by that person or those people. If you don't want to hear from that person, I would block that person because it is likely that they will feel that energy, that pull, where all of a sudden you're
Wow.
in their mind. Yeah. And it's happened to so many people because I do cord cuts with so many people. Like I've even done it with you, of like where I just wanted to release, anything. Like, because why are we holding on to old energy? It's just
Right.
sitting there. You know what I mean? So it's like just starting fresh, and it'll help with creativity and new ideas and new travel and new, everything is just new. We just have like this surge of newness. And then the next day you'll call or you'll be like, hey, I just got a flight, like, or something like that. And it's just like, whoa, okay. And I've done it with Jess, I've done it with my exes and everything, and it's just this weird, like, ever flowing energy that happens. So cord cutting is, I swear by it.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a try. I will check back in.
Definitely let me know how your cord cutting session goes.
Do you have any more thoughts on losing friends as an adult and maybe, things that make it unique as an adult, things that you go through when you lose friends?
I think that it's just when you're losing friends as an adult, you're not really staying stuck on the idea that you lost this friend. It's more like, well, we learned so much from each other. I mean, at least in my case, is like that I've learned so much from this person. I've grown so much since knowing this person. I'm grateful for the relationship and I'm grateful that it ended because essentially that was its journey is done. As a kid, I couldn't get over losing friends at all. I was miserable every time I obsessed over that friend. I will constantly like if it's like my best friend, I will message them, I will email them, I will like call them, I would talk to them at school. I would try really hard to keep the friendship, even though we're not the same person. Like there were times where I was like a really like dark goth emo chick, and they were this preppy girl who had a ton of friends. And I wanted somewhere where we could relate because of our childhood, because we used to be best friends. What changed? Well, we did.
Yeah.
And that is the difference is that like I accept when a friendship isn't working and I sort of like know the motions and maybe it's because of the years of experience, we all have it. So it's like maybe because of all those times, all those friendships that have gone, it's just sort of like, well, it happens, and you just move forward, I think, my opinion.
That's interesting. I feel like, I know where you're coming from, and that's really great. It sounds like you've had a lot of growth and a lot of, opportunities to kind of, reflect in order to, be able to let people go so easily. Because, like I said, I'm still struggling a little bit. And I feel like a reason a lot of people still struggle somewhat as an adult is the mindset of, I feel like if people still have like friends from childhood, like at least one,
Right,
or I've
right.
dated people that are still friends with all the people that they had from like high school or whatever.
Mhm.
Those people, the idea of them letting go of friendships, I feel like if you've done it, like you've done it enough times where you're like, it's okay. And you've like come to the
Right.
acceptance, which I have in most cases as well. But I've dated people where like the idea of them not being friends with the people that were their best friends growing up is like being a traitor. Like, I
Okay.
can't leave them that
Yeah.
these are my people. And it's like, but literally, you have nothing in common with them. They are literally doing coke on the sidewalk in front of their house right now, and you have
Right.
children. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, they literally there's
Yeah,
no
exactly.
relation, and it's like,
Right.
it's okay. Like, you have new friends now, and it's like, "But they're my people." Like,
Right.
like like, they can't let it go. So, my point with that is how do you make friends as an adult? Like on a,
Mm.
more positive
Yeah.
note, because I feel like maybe one of the things that people might not know about you is that you're really good at making like new friends, like meeting new people and making new friends.
Yeah.
Whereas like a lot of us, me somewhat included, because I'm, antisocial AF. So, just got to accept that. Um, so people that, like, don't really have the opportunity to meet new people, everyone does have the opportunity, but I'm saying that feel like they don't have the opportunity, then they're more likely to cling to the idea of people from their past. So how
Right.
have you, like, started to branch out, make new friends, and expand your, pool as an adult?
All right. So the biggest thing that really draws me to people is traveling and going out. And I won't talk to anyone in my daily life. Like if I'm living in a place like that isn't new for me, I won't make any friends. The moment that I'm in a new place, I make friends. And it's because I'm drawn to the idea of learning something about someone. And when I'm out, I kind of have to overcome this fear of rejection for whatever reason. It's like, what is a stranger going to do? Reject? Like, why is that a fear? Really? It's almost irrational. But I do because I do still struggle with the rejection I've had in my life, and I've had people not want to be my friend and people like me, not like me, and like all that stuff. And so you really have to like overcome that hurdle and just be brave and go say hi to someone that you find yourself drawn to, that maybe you're like, oh, they look like they're having fun, or that person looks like someone I can talk to. And even if it isn't, it's sort of like you just have to say the one thing, like, to where you try to relate in some way, and if it doesn't click, it doesn't click and you walk away, which I've had that as well. But for me, it's like that's the way I really make friends, is that I have the guts to go up and say hi. If a like for example, if you were sitting at the end of the bar, we didn't know each other, and I was by myself and you were by yourself, and I know that, and we both, I can tell that you are sitting alone, I'm sitting alone, and then we're surrounded by a crowd of people because we're at a bar. I'll go over there and sit next to you and sort of like spark up a conversation of like, I'll hear you order a Cosmo and I didn't order one. And I would just literally use that to be like, I've never tried one. Is it good? And then you'll respond with something. And then I'll be like, you know what? I'll order one. All right. Cosmo, hi, Amora. Like, literally, it's like I have to overcome the fear that they're gonna be like, shut up, get out of here, I don't want you,
Right, right.
which I feel like is a huge fear of so many people of making new friends for whatever
Oh,
reason,
for
like
sure.
it's
I'm
like
definitely that person. Like, I can't imagine going up to someone in a bar and
and
talking
being
to
like
them.
I know.
I'm so antisocial in life.
But you know what's so funny is just that you say that, but it's like if I introduce you to somebody, which we have experience with, where if I introduce you to somebody, you have so much to talk about because you're very interested in a person, of like just knowing, I guess. It's like you just know what to say next. And I think it's interesting because once you break the ice, which for more people, it's the ice that they're not willing to break it, because the ice is the barrier, the ice is the protection, but you break it and then now barriers are all down and you just feel more comfortable. But it's the act of taking the hammer to the ice. You know what I
But
mean?
but you know what's interesting on that point is, yes, there's times when, I meet a new person or I'm introduced to someone and it just like clicks and we have a
Right.
million things to talk about. But if I sense any sort of falseness, or I can kind of sense, or at least I feel it feels deep in my bones that I could, if I feel some sort of like falseness or fakeness, or potential like insincerity in that person, I cannot continue communicating with them, and I will not put in any effort.
That's
If
so
they are making me feel
interesting.
insecure in any sort of way, or I feel like my words are like being wasted, I
Yeah.
will not put in any effort.
That is so cool. Honestly, that's like a superpower because I'm not the way, because I don't ever feel anything. I've been conned by not conned, but I have so many people who I've met where they had fully different intentions than I did. I just genuinely wanted to talk to someone, make a new friend. They wanted a puppet, essentially, and I've had these situations with men and women. And, to where it was like sort of just that genuine friendship to me, and then all of a sudden it's different. And I feel like if you it's like you're like the radar, like maybe I'll send you out and be like, go make us a friend.
But even if
Like
you think about it, there's been times when you've introduced me to people and you're like, "I don't understand, like, you guys get along so well. He's such a
yeah, I know
weirdo," or
exactly who
"She's
you're
such a
talking about.
weirdo." Like, and you're just like, "They're weird, and, like, they're acting weird, and they're being this way or that way," and, like, yet you're getting along with them, and it's like, because, like, honestly, when people, like when you're thinking someone is weird, it's because you think they're, like, somewhat socially awkward in the slightest way. Like, because honestly, I don't think that person is that socially awkward, being genuine. Like,
Really?
I'm socially awkward, so maybe that's what, but, like, honestly, I recognize when people are being socially awkward because I myself am, like, the worst.
Right.
Um, but thank you for confirming that, girl.
You are
I'm just
socially
kidding,
awkward,
I'm kidding,
and
I'm
it's the
kidding.
best thing.
But the thing is, I'm socially awkward. He might be somewhat socially awkward, but when someone is socially awkward, in most cases, they're such a genuine human. Like, there's no fronting. They're socially awkward because, like, they bring their whole self to every circumstance. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, that is such a beautiful way of looking at
they
it.
literally put their heart on the table because they don't
Oh,
know how to be like fake. So
Yeah.
that's why I click with people that are kind of like that, because it's not, one, I'm not gonna judge someone and be like, not that it's bad that you were like, "He's kinda socially awkward," like, that's not bad that you think
I
that,
just
but
really liked him and
I
he
don't
wasn't
j
communicating with me.
I don't judge people for that, because, like, I know the struggle of, like,
Right.
you only prefer to have truly genuine interactions, and, like, some people, they're fine with just having,
Yeah.
like, a really, like, surface level interaction, like, let's talk about whatever it is, some random topic, and just, both kind of spew our words, and just to fill this space with, like, the air with words, rather than actually, taking a moment to get to know someone. And that's where my struggle is. Like, when people are just talking to talk, and I know, like, the second they get a chance to walk away, they're going to walk away, like, cuz I can feel their energy and there's no connection to me. Why am I giving you, like, it feels so false. And when I'm in, like, a social situation where I am forced to be that social, because, like, to not be social is considered rude,
Right.
though, I literally have to put on a front and become like I'm acting, because, like, in my heart of hearts, it feels so wrong to be having those type of interactions. So
Wow.
I try to, like, genuinely connect with as many people as possible in those situations, and seek out people that it seems like I'm actually gonna, be able to get to know. But, like, it's really hard not to shut down when you feel that, like, okay, this girl truly does not like me and has never liked me, but she's talking to me because there's no one else available for her to talk to. And maybe that's, like, insecurities in my head, but
Interesting.
I sense that and I feel that. And from my experience, I've been somewhat right most of the time.
Wow. See, and okay, so see the thing, it's such a vast difference because even though like I do genuinely feel like I just had this conversation last night with my mom and we were talking about how I really hate that I always put on a mask when I'm with people that I'm not comfortable with. Like I start smiling, laughing all the time. Like it's been pointed out to me. That's how much I laugh is that like the person will be like, "Are you okay? Because you're just laughing so much. Like, are you high?" And I'm like, "I'm not. I'm not high." And like I'll just literally just be like, "I don't know. I'm just that's me." But it isn't me, because deep down it's
Yeah.
like that comes from insecurities and feeling like if I'm not this way, who am I type of thing, and are they going to like me if I'm not bubbly and happy all the time? Because that's been my persona for so long. And so I've started to break down that persona a lot and or trying to anyway. And I when I'm in public, I find that like like in I have two different memories of me being someone, like a persona. One being my bubbly side, my happy go lucky whatever side, and that was when we met the guy that I was interested in at that bar in Brooklyn. And
Mm.
I was like, I don't know, because when he first met me, we chill, but I was very talkative because I liked him and I
Yeah.
liked him immediately. Like I saw
Because
it.
he had an
And
accent and that's all you care about in life.
right. And I was
Let's
like,
be honest.
no, that's not who I was talking about. I didn't like him
What?
like that. No, I'm talking about the other guy.
Brooklyn? I don't
Yeah,
know.
Brooklyn. Not
Recent or
not
not
English
recent?
guy. The first instance when I went out, you were with me and everything, and I sort of put on this like happy like because I was excited and everything, but it was just very like loud and outgoing and trying to be this quote unquote Libra personality to where I'm just chatty and all that stuff. But deep down it's like, yeah, like I like to have really intellectual conversations and go really deep into the mind of somebody and like really talk about it in that way. But that wasn't really who he knew me as. I felt like it was like we met in public, we met at a museum, and it was very like I had to be this person and everything, even though that day I looked horrible and I was wearing a hoodie and like, my hair was just like long and messy and whatever. So, but we never really, beside from that, we never met in person except for at this bar in Brooklyn. And I just felt like I had to be this person. And if I wasn't this person, he's not going to like it. But then here you come with your long, flowing, beautiful hair, and you just waltz on in, and like you guys click instantly. And it was the connection that I was like, what the heck? Like, I thought I was going to have that, and you did. And it was just interesting in the sense that, like, you guys were talking as if you guys are old friends. Like, you guys, as if you guys grew up together, as if, in this sense of like, yeah, we could be friends.
Can
And
I
that was,
sidebar for a minute?
yeah.
So I feel like this is a perfect example of where you are viewing something from the outside and you are falsely like creating a scenario in your head, because the reason that we clicked so well, we didn't instantly click. Like, it was awkward for like a couple minutes, and then like, we were where you were like, introduced us, and then you started just buzzing around the party that we were at.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we're like, so how'd you know Mora? Where are you from? Do you have siblings? Like, kind of trying to find something where we connect,
Right,
because you were like buzzing around, you were gone. So then all of a
right.
sudden you walk back and you're like, oh, like they've clicked, like, and you've created this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like you kind of got that in your head, and then you were instantly like, okay, well, he's obviously into Trey. Let me go find a different guy. And you
Yeah.
literally started searching for another guy when you invited this
This is
guy to come meet
this.
you.
Okay, all right,
So
all right. Good point. Good point.
so honestly, I don't know what exactly he was thinking, but I can assure you that our first interaction was like this, like, so, hey, like, we kind of both were like trailing after you for like a good 5 minutes, and then finally we just like gave up and like stood in one place next to each other and
Okay.
slowly but surely started having conversation. And even if you think
Gotcha.
about when we moved, you met at least one guy, if not multiple guys, while we were at that party. And then when we moved to another location, you instantly met someone else. So, of course, we're going to keep talking. Me and him had
That's
no
true.
interest in I think you need to like be aware of the fact that like not a lot of people, but some people have no interest in like meeting new people, or like, hunting for, like, if I go to a bar with you, I'm not going to have my eyes open looking for a guy. And honestly, to be truly honest, like, I don't have my eyes open looking for like
Ever.
friendship either.
Yeah.
So if I go there with people, like, I'm down to like get to know the person that's, already a friend of yours, because
Yeah.
it's just easy access, honestly.
Yeah.
So whereas you're not like that, like, your
Right.
eyes are always open for like, where are new people. Even think about when we went to Dublin together, the people that we met on like the first day, or like in the beginning of the first night, like, I was fine just like chilling with that crowd. I had no interest in expanding. If new people came to our group, cool, like, I'm
Right.
into it. I'm like talking to them, whatever. You brought so many people into the circle, into
Did
my
I?
atmosphere. So like, that's how I had interactions, because you were flocking them in.
Okay.
Whereas like, I just stick with the group, and you're like buzzing all over the place looking for more, like you're bored, like you keep
Oh my
going.
God. Okay. So that's so funny because I used to not be that way. I used to follow the guy that I was interested in around until I felt, just because I felt like you're who I'm with. I changed
Yeah.
that because I started noticing that the guy that I was interested in was looking at all of the girls who were on their own and independent, and like they're making all the friends and they're being the social butterflies. So I changed and I started to be the social butterfly because I was like, well, yeah, I don't want you to think I have all of your attention. Like, I want you to want my attention. And I think that's where the dangerous game happens, is like, because if it's with the wrong person, if that person is just genuinely interested in, like, in me and I'm not in quote unquote interested in them, then it's like then you lose the game because they're just not going to pay attention. But if it's that guy, right? I feel like if it's like that guy to where they're like, "Oh wow, I want what I can't have," which is that's what I'm used to. That's
But don't
interesting.
go for those guys for one.
Right,
And
exactly. Yeah.
for two, you have to really think about time and place because
Right.
in the situation, say the guy that likes you kind of being the social butterfly, I hear this all the time. Like when I read articles about relationships and men talking about what they find attractive in a woman, and they always, always, always say, if I bring her to a party or a social gathering of some sort and she's able to wander the room and then come back to me, I find that super attractive. Like if she's not like glued to my hip the
Yeah.
whole time,
Right.
that generally is not like first date situation. And if the
Right.
guy it not that it was like exactly a first date because it was honestly like we were a tricycle, so it's not a first
A
date.
tricycle, I love that.
um but it was like you said one of the first times like you actually hung out in person.
Right.
So after a long time and many conversations, so yes, you did have some sort of like uh past relationship with him, but like it's your first time seeing each other in person,
Yeah.
so obviously you should maybe give him a certain amount of attention. um
Yeah, I know, yeah.
and even maybe be like to me like, get out of my face,
I
bitch,
would
like
never. See, but that's
exit,
I think
remove your wheel, we're gonna wobble on
we're
without you.
weird, like, I didn't want to be stuck in a situation to where we didn't click at all, and it was just very,
Yeah.
like I feel like that was a huge lesson, especially hearing it from your side, because for me, I was thinking, "Okay, I need to keep myself distracted because if not, I'm gonna feel like the third wheel."
So
So
then you
I went
went
and
polar
practiced
opposite and just played hard to get by,
for
like, getting
sure.
other guys' phone numbers and other guys' attention,
Which
which is
was yeah,
hilarious, which
yeah.
you have to go back to, like, our original kind of, perspective of this guy who's, like, I truly believe is, like especially because of what you've told me about, like, your conversations leading up to us meeting him, like,
Mhm.
he's a genuine guy. Like,
Yeah,
he puts his, like, heart on his sleeve, his emotions on the surface. He tells you the truth. Like, he's not fronting.
right.
And then you're trying to play hard to get.
I know, and that's the thing is that, like, if you're playing a game, then you gotta know what game you're playing, you know what I mean? Like, and, like, you wanna play games, okay, then you know that that's probably not gonna be a lasting relationship. It's like, if you have to play the hard to get
Yeah.
or, type of persona, because it's never playing the eat hard on your sleeve, unless it's like
Right.
you know what I mean? It's like that because okay, that has also been a brand on me as well is putting my heart on my sleeve, and it's been said to me in a negative way. Same thing that where being too nice has been said to me in a negative way, and so I put on this sort of like I don't know. It's hard to really shake when you think about it. It's like, oh my God, I'm giving too much attention. I'm acting too desperate. And even like I might not be, but that's what's going on in my head is that like if I'm following this person around, am I desperate? And I can't look desperate,
Yeah.
and it's like that's
You
those are the thoughts.
I feel like when you're being genuinely you, it comes across really clearly and you don't have to worry about, what people are going to think of it when it's your honest and true feelings. If someone takes those in a negative light, maybe that's on them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something we all kind of have to grapple with is not we have to really filter like who's the person that said that to me and like should I even be concerned with, like, what their thoughts are? Like, what kind of person are
Right.
they that they said
Right.
that?
That's so interesting. Like their credibility. Are they a
Yeah.
credible source for telling you that? Because
Right. Do they have a reason that
likely
they would
they're
be mean
not.
to you?
Right.
Right, right.
Right. Most people who throw out like things like that, insecurities like that, who just throw it to the wind and see who catches it. It's like, that really just says a lot about themselves. Why are they throwing that at other people? Why are they projecting?
I also had a thought. This is on a slightly different topic, but not truly. Like, since you're such a social butterfly, and it's, been made very clear. Um, is have you if you think about it, is there a certain subject or, um, topic that you feel like as an adult, generally, is where you click with people and it's like, "Okay, this is like an actual potential friend. Like we are vibing on such a deep level that like this isn't just, we're talking about Cosmos at the bar, like, oh my gosh, I want to have coffee with her the next day."
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, honestly, I think it's whenever we talk about like mindsets, I think it's like if, like if you're talking about, if you're talking about the same thing and you're sort of like both being positive or just feel like this is the way that you look at life, just, I'll happily have you in my circle.
I wrote down 4 people that I feel like are true friends that I've made as adults. I'm sure there's been more than 4, but, like, that are really, like, good friends, people that I could call and, tell about whatever's going on in my life. And I wrote down that the topics that I feel like made us click and feel like we can trust each other, we get each other, we're genuine people that have, like, something real to talk about was when we got on the topic of manifestation, mindset, and the law of attraction,
Yes, absolutely. Like, and
or
that's
astrology in some sort of way.
astrology. Yeah, like somehow you're talking about, your sun, and then someone says, "Oh, my moon is this," and you're like, "Oh, ooh, ooh, your moon,
Yeah.
your rising."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because you need something. I feel like as an adult, you can't just be talking about like your daily lives. It doesn't work because everyone's life is so different. And unless you're intertwined in that life, you're not going to relate. Like,
Right.
and I'm finding that so prevalent in my relationships where, like, we hung out for a couple of weeks and it's like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And then you get that to that point, that wall where you're like, okay, we've talked about everything that we've talked about, whether it's because we were traveling and together or whatever, and then I went home or you went home or something. And now what is there to say? Because we're not traveling anymore and I don't relate to your lifestyle and you don't relate to mine. And
Right.
that's if you don't find that thing that brings you all together, then it fizzles.
Yeah.
And that happened with multiple relationships and stuff, and I wish them the best. And it's sort of like this tearful goodbye sort of thing where both parties are aware of that it's not going to work, like, but
Yeah.
I would happily travel with you in the future, that type of thing.
Right.
But yeah, like my friendships really, like, it spurs like hours of conversation, and if you could talk to someone for hours, that's when you really know, you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're someone I'm keeping for a while. Like,
Which for me, I feel like whenever I've met someone and we've somehow fallen on one of those topics, it's all of a sudden they're opening themselves up to you in
absolutely.
such a deep and honest way because it's like, "Oh, I can trust you. You're not gonna judge me."
Right,
And it really
exactly.
just, like, lets everything out. Within, like, a couple of hours, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I know so much about this person."
Yeah.
It's so genuine, and it's like, I wanna know them more.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like the moment that someone really breaks down that barrier and is like, "Okay, I can trust you with this." And it doesn't, honestly, it's so interesting because it doesn't even have to be like a deep secret, yet that's how we hold ourselves. It's like, "Oh, I
Mhm.
can't let you in."
It doesn't have to be a deep secret, as in just being able to say, like, "Oh, I believe in manifestation."
Right.
Like, it almost is like a deep secret because some
Right.
people think that's so taboo and so, like,
Right,
"What
like a
is
cult.
that?"
Like you're
Yeah, like,
like you're
"What
in
is
a cult.
that?" Like, you just wish things into your reality, like.
Right, like, that's not realistic, which I've actually heard
Right.
so many times. It's like, "Okay, get out of my energy." Like,
Yeah, right.
I
So when someone is like, "So I believe in this thing," and then they,
right.
like, tell you and you're like, "Oh my god, yeah, me too," like, it really, like, opens up a lot of doors where you're like,
Right.
what have you found to, like, work for you, blah, blah, blah." There's so much to be said. Do you have any last thoughts on friendship? Possibly any examples of friendship or anything like that that you feel like have affected how we view it and, maybe have made it so that it might have added to the struggle we have with, like, letting go of friendships and whatnot. Any last thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think that as we get older, we sort of appreciate that people are supposed to come in and out, and
Yeah.
that's the purpose. And like you're meant to connect with other humans. It doesn't mean that they're going to be lasting, and being fixated on the idea that you're going to stay with this person forever, type of thing. Like this is your friend. It's like everyone has their own path, and you just got to respect it. And that's what I learned is that not everyone is going to vibe all the time with you. You're going to like match up on one thing, like let's say that manifestation did bring us together and stuff. But then it's like, but they are a completely different person. They move across the world. They start a family and all that stuff. It's like it might fizzle, and that's okay because that you were there for them, and they
Yes.
needed you. And so, your job here, your work here is done, and their work is done with you. And I feel like, travel has really taught me that a lot because you travel, you make friends. I mean, we made like infinite amount of friends the time that we were in Dublin. We were there for like a week, and
We were
we
there
made
for I was there for 48
oh
hours.
my God. Well, I was there for a week. But that's so true. But we made so many friends those nights. Like,
We did. I follow some on Instagram.
yeah, me too.
Some of them.
And it's like we like each other's posts. Well, I mean, I used to like their posts because I don't have an Instagram anymore. But
Mhm.
we like each other's posts. Maybe we comment or something, or wish them luck on something, and then that's it. It's sort
Yeah.
of that's not really a friendship, but that is like acknowledging that we had a connection when we had it, and
Right.
and it's a beautiful thing. That's all I
Yeah.
really have to say.
I completely agree. I definitely agree on the fact that, you have friends for a season and you have other friends that last a lifetime. And sometimes in the moment, you can't recognize which ones they are. Even where you said, like, we met so many people while traveling and then, we don't really stay in touch with them. But you never know, like, why you were meant to meet someone at a particular time or when they might show back up in your life and if that connection will ever be more than what it once was. I'm not saying hold on to the idea that like, every connection is going to become this grander thing, but there is a chance, you never
Yeah,
know what's going to happen. Even if you think about our friendship, how
yeah,
we met.
exactly. Did I think I
One,
was going to be best friends with my boss? I don't know.
well, what I think is so funny and when you're really honest about it, it's truly funny is one thing that really proves like how like social and how willing to like put herself out there and make friends Mora is when we worked together. She used to go on lunch dates with every single person at our store. Like she literally would wait around. She's off her shift. When she would clock out, she'd wait around for someone to be going on lunch break that she hasn't gone on a lunch with before. I feel like you went on like one date with everybody.
I think so too. I think I've had lunch with like everyone in that store.
Right. At least one time.
For
Mainly one
sure.
time, I feel like. You just
Yeah, it
like
wasn't
testing out the
multiple.
waters.
Right, to see what
So
we're doing.
she's like, "So you're going on lunch? Where do you go on lunch?" Like she'd go with you wherever. Um which was funny for me because I like actually don't eat lunch. So like but luckily, like I feel like she doesn't either. So yeah, we just like
Yeah,
went to
right.
Starbucks or whatever. But because she does this, she kind of like created like a little clique, tried to create a little thing with the three girls, me, her, and one other person that were the same age. And
Yeah.
I kind of sensed and also later found out that like in her mind, she was like, I'm gonna become best friends with this other girl. And like me and Cher connecting on this more like businessy, like
Ye
creative type of thing, but like my friend
right.
is gonna be the other girl. The other girl did not give a anything about us. Like sweetest person
Right.
on earth. I'm not saying she's not. Like
Yeah,
she's one of those like really genuine people, but she's super focused and like probably dominating her entire life at this point.
for sure.
So she didn't have time for us. Like she's like, you guys are you guys are a mess and you
Yeah,
guys are not
exactly.
focused at all. Mora at the point of meeting us was like, I want to be a veterinarian, a
Right.
gamer, an interior designer, and possibly the president of the United States. So I'm
Wow.
just, I'm just trying to decide what to go to college for. If you could, like, what do you think? What do you think? And it's like, I don't
I don't know.
I don't know what to say to that.
I know. Back then I was very, I was very
Scatterbrain.
scatterbrained, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do.
But it was just funny the idea that, like, you have in your mind, like, I want that person. And
Right.
then, it just kind of works out how it does, like, naturally, like you said, it just kind of fizzled out with that person.
Yeah,
Still, like, think of them as an awesome human and, like
for
you said,
sure.
follow them on social media, be happy for them every
Mhm.
time they, win at another part of their life. But then there's other people where there's just more to say on a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's more than just the one connection, it's like what sparks it, and then you continue and learn more about each other, and then you connect on more levels, and then more levels, and all of a sudden it's just this strong glue with this person. You can't really imagine being without them because it's just sort of like it just happens naturally. You just call naturally. It's like you pick up the phone and you're dialing their number. And it's
Right.
sort of like, that's where it fizzles, I feel like, too, is just like if you don't connect on more than one level, which in that case, it was we loved our store and we loved being our age, and it was like I feel like at the time I was dating someone, she was dating someone, you were dating someone. It's like all of these base level, surface level things that I imagined we clicked on. And then anything deeper, I feel like she just didn't have the space for it. She was so busy with building her life, her empire, that
Yeah.
you know the having space with two girls who didn't really know exactly what they were doing. It's like it's like
Yeah. Also, she was, very focused in a practical sense. And
yeah,
let's be honest, we're not
we are
practical
so not
humans. And we're, like, so happy not being
friends.
practical. It's kind of like you were saying, like, she didn't have space. Like, I think a big thing about relationships is, like, how much are you willing to give? And, like,
Hmm.
where do you put the relationship in relationship to the rest of your life?
Right.
Because it's like when you're dating someone, if one of you in the relationship, puts you at the very top tier above everything else, and then the
Hmm.
other one puts you under all of their, say they put it under their beliefs, they put you under their parents, under their family, under their friends, and you're all the way at the bottom,
Yeah.
potentially even under their job, like,
Yeah.
then that's not going to work because it's so imbalanced. If both of
Exactly.
you, it's not bad if you're put up, I don't think you should put your relationship all the way at the bottom under everything, but if
Right.
both of you are choosing to do that, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you both have to agree on what tier you're falling at, or it's never gonna work.
Exactly. Like to me, I was again, it's so funny we're talking about this today because I was talking about this with my mom last night. Like we just went into a whole thing, and I was telling her it kind of like just on the spur of my thoughts. I was thinking about relationships, and I was like, relationships a lot of the time fall out, they don't work because you're supposed to really share that number one spot, which is always you. You are always your number one spot,
Right.
but you're supposed to share the number one spot with your partner if you want it to be forever, because
Yeah.
that's how are you going to always put yourself above them? You know what I mean? It's sort of like you're supposed to think of them also. It's like, it becomes that's why it's a partnership. It's like, your number one is yourself, but then your number one person is them. And so it's like you can't have two number ones, so you just share. And
Yeah.
that's where a lot of people sort of like get distorted, is that like, well, you're not my number one though, I am. And that moment is like, okay, because now I'm your number two, but you're my number one. I think about you all the time. I think about
I
all these
think both
decisions with you
people
in
have
mind.
to agree that you're
Agree.
either sharing that spot or
Yes.
you're both number 2.
Exact
Neither of you should be
exactly.
putting the other person above your own happiness, because that means that you're depending too much on them.
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, it's you agree that you share it, or you agree that one tier below. To where it's
Yeah.
like, you're like, I'm first, you come next. And then it's like, okay, I agree. I'm first, you come next. I fully feel like that's the thing. Because then the moment that you put them above you, no. That's where
No,
you lose
that's
yourself in the relationship. That's codependency, definition,
yes, exactly. And I feel like you said, that goes for romantic relationships and for
and
personal
friendships.
relations. Yeah, or personal relationships, friendships,
Personal
business
and business. Yeah,
acquaintances.
right. It goes with
um,
everything, I feel like.
Everything. It really does, though. It really does. Even if it's a business partnership, we've been there
Yeah,
before as well, which I feel like is one of the reasons why we've become such good friends,
for
is because
sure.
we do get along on so many different levels. But even business relationship, I mean, I was talking about in a different podcast the other day, how writing relationships work, and how one person, when you're in a relationship writing, one person has to give more than the other, because generally, if you look at, famous pairs that write scripts and stuff like that, one of them does the bulk of the script. One of them is more of just the idea person, the editor, like, they go back and they add,
Yeah,
and but you can't have both people writing, like, actually physically writing in the script. I feel like most writing groups don't work like that. Even, like, if you think about a show, how it's written,
for sure.
at the end of the day, there's one person that's responsible for that script.
For that one
So
episode.
yeah. So, and when it comes to, like, writing a movie or something like that, I think it more so lands where one person is more responsible for, like, getting the actual script written.
Right.
And so you have to be willing to accept the percentage that each person is giving to that relationship, because if you don't genuinely respect and accept, like, that, say for example, I, like, in the past, I've written a script, and you inspired the script, you ended up working, like, on the project with me on every single level, and, like,
Mhm.
I was so willing to give you the same amount of credit, but I was the one that had to sit at the computer and type out the
Yeah,
whole script,
for
and vice
sure.
versa, you've done the same thing too.
For sure.
But I never think, like, "F that girl, like, she's literally
Right.
not doing anything. I'm sitting in my room typing everything up." Like, you cannot be that person, or it's not gonna work,
Right.
because there's gonna be so
Exactly.
much hostility built into that relationship.
Exactly. There has to be that, like, ground where it's like an agreement, you know what you're doing, you know exactly what your role is, and you don't like, cross that, or, like, you don't get your wires crossed, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's like it's a partnership that, like, you're agreeing to do this thing. I didn't tell you to do this. If you want me to help you, I'll take 1 page of the script, you'll take 1 page, and we'll get it done, or, 1 half
Whatever
of
we decide,
whatever
we
we
have to be
decide.
happy with it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you can't just change your mind midway through. It's like, and then but if you do, well, granted, if you do change your mind midway through, then you need to tell the partner and stop feeling hostile.
Communication.
Yes,
Yeah. Don't
like
circle your
communication.
room digging a hole into, like, the
Right.
floorboards with your angry
Exactly.
footsteps.
Digging a hole with your anger. Yeah, exactly. Like, like
I keep a shovel in my closet, by the
right.
way.
Your anger
Yeah.
shovel, anger shovel.
That might be why the people below me hate me, I don't know.
Right. Is
Still
that
thinking about that one.
right? My gosh. All right. But is that it?
I feel
I feel
like
like we've
we've
said it.
really yeah, I feel like we've really kind of covered all the bases of this. I did really quickly, I know we're running super long on the podcast, but I was hoping that I would get to ask you, do you have any, like, references to film or movies of friendship that helped you, or, like, looking back can help you, like, see how, like, a relationship can healthily come to an end? Because I really thought about this, and one of my favorite shows growing up and, like, into my adulthood was Gilmore Girls. And there's so many different dynamics and so many different friendships in that show, and they come to an end at different points and whatnot, but most of the friendships in the show, like, kind of come full circle, like, they come back. And I was thinking about
Yeah.
other movies, other shows, like movies where, for example, Ghost World, where the friendship starts off really strong in the beginning. They're planning their whole post high school life together, and then throughout this summer, kind of like our friend from work, where she was, like, really focused and knew exactly what she wanted, and she wanted to go this really what is the word, practical
Traditional, yeah.
practical traditional life.
Yeah.
The other one is like free spirit, wants to do everything kind of opposite of what you should be doing, and is kind of like obscure in her thought process. So they kind of start to fall apart over the summer, but then at the end of the day, they come back together and they're
Right.
friends. And like I feel like
Right.
that's most shows and movies, and it could be why we hang on to this idea of romanticizing friendship where it should never end.
Right. On it, like I was well, while you're talking, I'm thinking, I'm like, wow, I don't know if I know any shows really truly that where they do fully end unless it's a huge blow up, unless it's like where it
But even
fizzles
is there
out.
situations where there's
A huge blow up? Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
There's the movie called Something Borrowed. Something Borrowed, they have a huge blow up because
Yeah,
one
but they come back together in the end.
they don't actually. They walk away peacefully from each other, and one of the girls just says, it is true. I am happy. Like, I really mean that because she's said it before. And that's her MO is like, I'm so happy. I'm doing great. But really deep down, she has a lot of insecurities and she has her own issues that she's really not like, she's not comfortable with really saying out loud. Like, that's her deep down. And, and the other friend puts forth more effort and everything. And she feels like, okay, like I do all this work to make the friendship work and you're kind of not like the best of friends, but I don't ever want to lose you type of thing. Anyway, she messes up. And they both really mess up because she like it's just one person ignoring the other and it's just like a really
Right.
toxic relationship really. But after, they have a sort of or bittersweet parting and they walk away from each other. One of them is with the
Oh.
other one's husband. So it's sort of like, how are you friends in that way? But that's where it's like it's a toxic relationship because if you really watch it, one person is taking advantage of the other and not really thinking about that person deep down, like thinking about what that person needs. And, one friend is, is just giving all of her energy to her friend. It's like one of them is giving and one of them is taking always.
Mm.
And then at the end,
That's
they're both
interesting.
equal and they're both happy, but they're separate and they're no longer friends.
That is so interesting. You know why? Because, you know why?
Why?
So
Are you gonna tell me?
it's so interesting because I kept thinking Something Borrowed was Bride Wars because they both have Kate Hudson in it.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
feel like it's a similar story, except
Yeah.
that in Bride Wars, they don't end up friends, and I keep thinking of the end scene or in Something Borrowed, they don't end up
They'd
friends
end up
anymore.
friends, yeah.
But in Bride Wars, they have where they come together in the end,
Yeah.
and they're sitting at the table, and they're, like, catching up on their life, and they're
Yeah.
best friends again.
Yeah.
So, that's what I keep thinking when I think of Something Borrowed. I'll have to go back and rewatch that.
For sure. It's a great movie. I love watching it. A lot of people don't like it because of the idea of the other woman, but that's life. There are the other women, and that's the way that some relationships unfold, or you know what I mean? It's just life. Just accept it. It's fine. Like, not accept having the other
Don't
being,
accept it in your
don't,
life.
right?
Don't
Like,
be the other woman.
don't be
Well,
the other woman,
be the
but
other woman if you wanna be the other woman. If
no
that's your
judgment,
energy, no
but
judgment.
but it is a toxic energy, so step wisely,
Yeah.
tread
Um,
wisely, I mean.
yeah. But that's super interesting. I'm definitely gonna possibly watch that today, actually.
Yeah.
So way to prove my point wrong.
I had to be right about something.
Exactly. I'm so right all the time, so
Right,
it's
right,
okay.
yeah,
This
at least
one
that's what
time.
we let you think.
So that was Manifesting Men, episode 1,
Yes.
and just kind of to close it all out, we were thinking maybe we would end on a nice positive note. So, Maura, what is something that you are gonna focus on going into the day and, just bring positivity into the life?
I've been making those vision boards lately of just different aspects of my life, and it kind of gets meditative because you're just dragging images, and picturing and daydreaming and stuff. So honestly, I really want to do that today. I feel like it's raining outside. It's nice and calm, and but still there's this like positive energy in the air. I feel like I really want to do that. That'll be my day.
Nice. Nice. I also have been really into vision boards lately. Um, but I think going forward today, I am going to focus on my to-do list and actually looking at it. I feel like I really struggle with the idea of actually going back and looking at the list that I created. I've gotten down the idea of writing a to-do list, actually checking things off is a whole nother story. So that's my focus. That's my focus today.
I feel like it's the most relatable thing ever. You have a to-do list and never gets checked. It's like
Yes.
I know I gotta do these things, but did I say right now? Not really. Yeah, it's just
Right, right. But I have to cut the podcast because I think you can see me. I'm, like, literally dancing in my chair. I've had to go pee for, like, so long
Oh
now,
my
like,
gosh.
40 minutes because I had 2 cups of water and 2 cups of coffee. So, I gotta go, girl. I
All
literally
right.
gotta go. I will see you again. Bye,
Bye.
guys.